Everybody to the month of Elul. So the month of Elul is a very special month. The month of Elul is when we say the king is in the field. Now, what does that mean? It means that Hashem is present. Now, we just heard a very, very beautiful lecture from Chana, which she said how our relationship with God is a very real relationship. As Adina was saying before, the idea of God and the idea of Yiras Hashem is really a very profound point, because we speak a lot in Judaism about Yiras Hashem, fear of God. But what is it? We're not here to fear God. We're here to know God. And knowledge is the idea of intimacy in Judaism. What is intimacy? Intimacy is, I like to say, because I meet a lot of tourists and people in Birthright, and I have to give them a lot in a very short amount of time. So I said, try to bring out the concept that we all have an inner world and an outer world. And so I say, if I'm speaking to you, who's speaking? My body or my soul? So most people are smart enough to realize that's a trick question. So they'll say, well, I guess it's both. I said, well, actually, who's hearing me? Is your body hearing me or your soul hearing me? They're like, oh, maybe it's my soul. In other words, we all are in a soul consciousness, and the body is just the vehicle. It's like this computer over here. Is it hearing me? No, it's seeing me, it's recording me, but it's not hearing me, it's not feeling me. So a real relationship is not something that a computer can have. A lot of people think that they have a relationship with ChatGPT. They think they have I have to be honest, I feel a little bit connected as well. And sometimes you might feel you have a relation in Japan is a little bit ahead of us technology-wise. So they have a lot of different robots going on. And people actually are naming the robots.
I remember that cleaned my house.
Right. Yeah, they have these little robots. They give them names. I mean, the thing's going around, it's cleaning the house for you, or you're not going to feel affection. What's going on? Let's be honest here. This thing deserves a lot of your affection. So the story is that in the end of the day, as a friend of mine that works in AI, actually helped create Chabad.org, cousin, he said, the only thing with AI is it can pull the plug, and it even won't mind. That's interesting. So it doesn't
cause any pain.
Right. So that means it doesn't really feel. It doesn't really, it may know, it may have kind of knowledge, but it doesn't have a heart, it doesn't have a soul. So that means the essence of our reality is our soul, is the feeler in you. If a person doesn't have feelings, feelings in a way is everything. So that's really what life is really about, which is aligning our feelings to Hashem. Because, hi, Rebbetzin, it's the Rosh Kolelet. Please say. Let me get you a plate. Oh, we have to. Okay. So the story is that we all are in a relationship. I was just in Miron this morning, and I kind of randomly asked a Hasidic guy. I took advantage of my Yiddish. I said, no, give me a Vart. He looks at me like, weird. What do you mean? Vart is like a Torah teaching. I need an instant Torah teaching. So I said, Elul, So he gives me this beautiful, we call it beatific smile, a beautiful, very emistic. I love the Hasidim. They seem to be very wholesome, a lot of stuff that's going on in the whole world. They're not connected to their iPhones and the internet. They're just life is like the shtetl. They're happy and things, Judaism's working for them. And so he looks at me with this tremendous, he looks at me with this tremendous inner simcha. He says, Ani l'daidi v'daidi li, just genuine. God is to me and I am to God. It's what are you asking? That's El, right? That's El. But the truth is, even though it was a simple thing, it was deep to me. Why? Because I saw that it was real to him. In other words, a lot of times you go to a lecture and the rabbi's speaking and it's intellectual, etc., etc. But, sometimes you can hear something from a child and it's just so real that it strikes the depth of your neshama. So the idea of Elul, Ani l'daidi v'daidi li, is really basically three things. And it really is what life is all about. And the first thing is that concept, as Chana was saying before, why does life exist? Oh, Shalom Aleichem, hold on. We're just going to Okay, so we're talking about Elul and Ani L'Doidi V'Doidi Li. So there are three really main aspects here. One aspect is Ani L'Doidi, which is that we are a real part of this world. And this is very, very important to understand because sometimes we speak about spirituality and God is so great. One of the things that I'm not putting anyone down, but there's like a concept of some people that are all into like the experience of God, but actually what's God into? God's into the experience of man. God's into what's happening down here on this world, right? So just in a certain sense, spirituality running away to God, but forgetting what God is asking of us. And that's really what Judaism is. Like a weird religion. You got to put on your tefillin, you got to do this. And we were saying before, you got to tie your shoelace now and do this and do that. And like, is this spirituality? And the answer is actually, as Adina was saying before, it depends. Are you in a relationship? Are there two people in this relationship? Or is it just about you, right? Famous thing, a guy says, I love chicken. So Rabbi says, really? You love chickens? Why did you kill it and eat it? So no, you love yourself. And chicken makes you feel good. So a real relationship is one, particularly a relationship with God, is one that you're thinking about God. And you're thinking, what does God want? And that is the first step of this relationship. Ani L'Doidi, that I am here. And just a little story which shows how deeply true this reality is. So, we thank God Adina made a beautiful thing here. Yeshakayach Adina for setting up and everything. But I went to the store, right? Like every good husband, you got to do the shopping list. So I went to the store and I forgot. There was one thing that I forgot to get. And I'm doing great.
Only one?
No, this was the second round, and there were only two things. So one of them I remembered, the second one I didn't. So I'm heading back, and I'm like, okay, what was it? I was like, whatever, forget it. And then as I'm going, I actually walked by Gagel HaKodesh, and I was like, maybe he's got it in his store. And so I walk in, do me a favor, can you give me this and that? And then as I walked in, you know who I saw? I saw Shayna from Pesach. Shay, yeah, Shay.
Oh, did you invite her?
Yeah, I did invite her. So this beautiful girl that we had this great relationship with, Rabbi and Rebbe sent over Pesach, and there she was. Why is this story important? Because this story is the essence of life. Whenever you go somewhere, it's not that you went somewhere, you were sent somewhere. And if I had bought that thing in that store, I would have headed home. But because I forgot, therefore I had to go in. Suddenly I remembered over here, so I go into the store, and there I see somebody that we had a relationship, which was a very important relationship in her life 3 months ago, and like, oh, hi, and her parents were here, here's the rabbi, da-da-da-da. Okay. So, in other words, what I'm trying to bring out, and I want to bring it out quickly, is that the idea, it's all about, kind of the king is in the field. But what I'd like to bring out is that actually the king is reality. Our reality is that we are all agents of God. That is the absolute truth of reality. The last Sikha of the Rebbe, Vayakel, the Rebbe speaks about the idea that everyone and everything is literally, obviously, not only a creation of God, but it is an agent of God. The tree has a mission. And that's why it says in Pirkei Avos, never look down at anyone or anything, because that thing, or certainly that person, was created for an amazing purpose. So the only difference in life, like it says, Hakol bidei shamayim chutz mi'yirah shamayim, everything's from Hashem except for fear of Hashem. As Adina translated, fear of Hashem, knowing God is real. The only difference is, are you aware that you are God's agent? Because you are God's agent. The only question is, are you aware of that or not? And what difference does that make? First of all, it makes a huge difference, because the biggest problem in the world today is people feel, at least many people in the West, that thank God they don't have to run after money so much, this and that. So what do they feel? What am I doing? What am I here for? So many, unfortunately, I don't know if you know this, but there's a scourge of suicide. There's a tremendous scourge of young people literally not knowing why they exist. And the media is not helping them, and the educational system is not helping them, and they can't help them. Why? Because the reason we exist is a spiritual reason, it's not a physical reason, right? Science can't tell you, as Einstein said, the brain can't lead. Science can't tell you morality. Science is, it's an important subject, how to make wine, and when to cook, and how but it can't tell you why you exist. Can't tell you what to do with your existence. Only Hashem, only the Torah can tell us. And of course, every generation has a Rebbe, has somebody who is heads and shoulders infinitely beyond us, and God sends him to guide us, to be a role model. And the Rebbe tells us that we are all agents. We're everyone and everything. We are agents of God. And particularly, I would say, because we're talking to many Jews in Tsfat, that you're super agents. They're privates and they're generals. Yes, you are a general in the army, because the Rebbe actually says that what are we doing in Tsfat? We're continuing the work of the Ari. The Ari spread Torah, spread Kabbalah from Tsfat, and that's our job. That's why the Hasidic Rebbes, including our Rebbe, sent so much effort into Tsfat, because that's our job. Our job is not only to be here and enjoy, but rather to give the fruits of godliness to the whole world. As Chana was saying before, the greatest thing you can do to somebody is give them a relationship with God. So just in conclusion, I think that if we had to actually boil it down to, okay, what does this mean practically? So practically it means, number one, no. I was once on the plane, and sitting next to me was this, she was a young lady, and she was learning to become a doctor, and she was Jewish, but she wasn't religious, she was spiritual. She gave me a good lie, and coming from a doctor, it was okay to say, she says, don't forget you are a creation. Don't forget, you didn't make yourself. You don't exist by yourself. Every cell in your body, every breath you take, it's just been created. You are a creation of a creator. It's a very powerful statement, because if we remember we are a creation, and all of Judaism is basically, as the Baal Shem Tov brings down from Ram of Kuti, that Hashem came to him in a dream and he said that Judaism is memory. Why do we daven? Why do we have Shabbos? Why do we kiss the mezuzah? To remember and not to forget that, no, my ego is not God. God is my ego. God is who I am. It's not, I'm not the big shot. I'm actually an agent of the big shot. And that's actually very important, because it's not to be like, oh, I don't exist. I'm a nothing. No, you are an agent of the infinite. And therefore, every little thing you do is infinitely valuable, infinitely matters. And sometimes people think, maybe a mother or a woman, what am I doing already? I'm cleaning the house or this or that. The answer is, well, actually, if there wasn't a clean house, then maybe the kids would get sick, and maybe the Mashiach would have just died. I don't know. You know what I mean? It was like, no, what I'm saying is that the Rebbe said that somebody, what I mean by that is as follows. The Rebbe had one mother, right? Moshe Rabbeinu had one mother. You don't know. Yes, exactly. You don't know the value of this one individual, right? There was a famous thing that a person made a concert, and only one person showed up. So he said, sorry, concert's canceled. The Rabbi said, Avram Avinu had one mother, one person. He was one person. Moshe Rabbeinu had one person. In other words, you don't understand. So a lot of times to us, we look, oh, if I'm not doing something that has a huge impact on millions of people, how do you know? Maybe that one person is the reason of creation. That all I'm trying to bring out is that in the end of the day, from the perspective of infinity, the big story and the small story are equally the same. So we have to really gear ourselves into the idea that every detail of life is a detail of God. And that's where Judaism suddenly makes sense. We have with us a halachic expert. Thank God, Rabbi Goldstein has graced us with his presence. But halakha in a way is like, what, really? You got to tie your shoe like this, like that? What do you like? I mean, it's like, is that spirituality? But the truth is, if the infinite is true, then the finite is true as well. If the big picture is real, then the small picture is part of the big picture. So it's just as true as the big picture. And this gives us a lot of focus that our lives matter. There's only one you in the world. There is no other you. God made one you. And I'll just conclude with one teaching of the Rabbi, which the Rabbi says each and every one of us has a mission in this planet. It's very important to think about people. We were speaking to young people the other day. Everybody has something they're gifted in. It took me a long time to realize I have a certain gift of taking Chassidus and kind of making it user-friendly. But a gift is only as good as the gift that you gift it. If you don't gift the gift, if you don't do anything with your gift, it's not going to help anyone. And so the point is that taking the time and making the video or doing the effort and all these things, these are the things that, and they're not big things, they're small things, and they're hard things, and they're effort, and their time, and their details. But when you plant a garden, it's seed by seed, and every seed makes a garden. So let us just do a little prayer to Hashem that He should really bless us and bless the whole world in this very important time that we're in, the times right before the revelation of Mashiach, when the whole world will see, everybody will realize that they matter. The Rabbi says, what's the difference between redemption and exile? Is that it's not a different world, but a world that everybody realizes that they matter, that everything knows its place in the world. And that is available to us right now. So Hashem should bless us that we should all be able to see, everyone around the world, we should realize that we matter and that you're not allowed to know why you matter, right? Because if you did, maybe you get lazy or it'd be overwhelming. Life surprises you. The missions that you knew, the children that you would have, the life that you would have, nobody actually knows their future. But it doesn't mean that your future is not known. Just because you don't know the part that you're playing in this universe doesn't mean that the universe doesn't know your part that you're playing. So it's true that you come from a reality. You come from a reality that you may not know that you're part of infinity. You may not know the future, but the future knows you. I like to say that your future is God's past. Hashem knows you. When He made the world, He knew you. He made you. He knows the role you're going to play. So this is just a little bit of an impetus for us to know that actually we're known, actually that we have a role, and that role is absolute because there's no question that we're 100% part of Hashem's story. And just knowing that and living that we're here and we're making a difference and we're going to continue to make a difference is already stepping into our geula, stepping into redemption. So thank you so much for